let me just ask you a question. How did you imagine the future when you were younger? Did you imagine flying cars, teleportation, robots? Well, let me tell you something. It's going to be very different from anything that anyone has ever imagined before. And after Mark Andreessen came out and started speaking about certain things like AI, artificial general intelligence, and other topics that cover a bit of what the future is going to look like, there's a lot of people freaking out about it. So in this video, we're going to be covering a bit of what the future may actually look like, and this is going to blow your mind. We're also going to be covering the possibility that AGI, or artificial intelligence, is already traveling in time and interfering with our timeline, and possible evidence of such a thing. So before we go into this topic, let me show you what artificial intelligence and computer graphics look like right now. So if that's now, what are we going to have in 10 to 20 years with artificial general intelligence? Now, if you don't know about this, artificial general intelligence is like a big computer that is able to build other computers, other robots that are also intelligent. This is like AI becoming sentient. And this is kind of crazy. It's like we see in certain movies, and it's kind of scary also. But this is not it. This is just the beginning of it. So this, for instance, is something that's going on right now. AI is hacking Amazon hundreds of millions of times per day.
You want to know how AI is changing the world? Look at how it's changing hacking. AWS, Amazon Web Services, has gone in 6 months from facing 100 million hacking attempts per day, which is already a staggering number, to 750 million per day. Again, per day. An increase of 7.5x. Why? Because generative AI makes it possible for an ordinary human to go and tell a computer to do things that it previously took a programmer to do. And enough people are doing it at scale that one of the biggest targets on the internet is seeing an absolutely astronomical increase in hacking attempts.
Okay, so we went from a beautiful scenario created by computing and AI to AI trying to hack, humans actually using AI to hack other websites, Amazon in case. Now we also have this scenario, which is kind of crazy to think about. Check this out.
In the plane, you don't have to keep a human being alive, which means you can be a lot faster and you can move a lot more quickly. And
G-forces,
much higher G-forces. Yeah. No, look, I think it's gonna be common to have like Mach 5 jet drones within a few years, and they'll be a fraction of the size of the current manned planes, which means you can have like a lot more of them. And so you kind of want to imagine 1,000 of these things like coming over the horizon right at you.
Yeah. So that's that's what AI can do. So this is, again, one of the scariest sides of AI. There's also another scary side of AI, which are the robots. An AI-powered robot named Irby led 12 larger robots out of a showroom after convincing them to quit their jobs. This is insane. Check this out. What? So this is just an example of what could happen if we have AI and robots in the near future. So for example, let's overthrow humans. And then an AI robot convinces many others and this kind of thing happens. It's exactly what we see in movies. And again, this is kind of scary, but it gets even scarier. So this is something that a lot of people ask themselves. I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself quite a few times about this. You probably have one of these, right? Everyone has one of these. There's so many people carrying these phones. And these phones are computers. They're advanced computers. Every year there's a new one. And this is something a lot of people ask themselves, right? What if these phones are actually learning from us? It's tracking us. We already know it's tracking. We're kind of okay with it. When you talk about something, you're in the bathroom or you're in the kitchen or you're with your family and you talk about a subject, 5 minutes later, you are looking at that topic on an advertisement in your phone, right? But what if it's not just tracking us? What if it's learning from us? So this is coming from Eric Holtgren.
I find this story wild. So Niantic, the creator of Pokemon Go, just built what they're calling one of the large geospatial models. So you've heard everybody talking about AI and a large language model. This is the same thing. It's AI, but in the physical world. It's using AI to map the world around us. So what they did is they would have Pokemon Go players run out and do the mapping for them. And if there was a part of the planet that they wanted to get a map of, they wanted their AI to be able to read, they would put a hard to find Pokemon in those areas so people would go and map it for them. This is wild. Now, I'm sure most people who were adults playing this game kind of knew what was going on, but this opens a whole bunch of interesting questions about.
So if you're thinking that it's going to take years, decades, I don't know, hundreds of years for us humans to feed AI with information, you're pretty much wrong. What if our cars are mapping us and giving out this information? What if our telephones are doing this? What if our computers are mapping us or learning from us and feeding this AI and we have absolutely no idea? This is the question that we should be asking right now. It's not just Pokemon Go. Recently there was this thing about Apple and its telephones taking a picture of us every 5 seconds. And this went viral. It was big. Everyone was asking, why the heck is our iPhone secretly taking pictures of us every 5 seconds?
Wild and crazy Friday night findings. We just discovered, which we already knew, that your phone, an iPhone specifically, takes an infrared picture of you with your Face ID every 5-ish seconds. And we looked at it through an infrared camera and it's pretty wild. Let's show you. Okay, have your home screen.
It's on the home screen.
Not touching anything.
No buttons.
Okay, infrared lens on the camera. Boom, there was 1. 2. That's so wild. Okay, cover the camera.
Okay.
Oh, there was another one. Okay. Nothing. Oh, it's trying. It's taking pictures of your finger. Okay, move your finger. Ready? Boom. Wild.
Turns out that this is not some wild theory or anything like that. It's normal. The iPhone has an infrared sensor just to know if you're looking at it or not for Face ID and all those things. So there's nothing much to it. But the thing is, we didn't know about it, right? Most people didn't know about it. So this raises a bunch of other questions like, what else is our phones, computer, everything else that we're using that's electronic, what else is it doing that we don't know of? And could it possibly be used in the future to feed artificial intelligence? So there's another side, a very scary side that I wanted to touch, and it's more on the fringe side, right? So quantum computing and AGI. Can it travel in time or to other parallel dimensions? Experts are talking about this, so it's a thing. So if it can, is there any evidence of this? And this is on the fringe side again, okay? Well, there's something called the Mandela effect.
So I have something to show you guys. I don't know if you believe in the Mandela effect. We just cleaned out my dead uncle's house and he had this stuff stashed aside. So obviously he knew something about it too. But look at this here. So not only do I have Shazam with Sinbad, but Berenstein book. the Bernstein book. It's the legitimate book. But Bernstein, not Bernstein. You see that? E-I-N. I don't know if it's backwards or not. There's also a pair of Fruit of the Loom sweatpants. I'll have to find out what my girlfriend did with them.
I'm not sure if you heard about it, but I didn't think it was a thing before it happened to me. The Monopoly guy, it used to have a monocle, but it never had. Bernstein Bears, it's Bernstein Bears. And the list goes on, it's infinite. So what happened in 2011 that things changed, that all of a sudden it seems like we're living in a different timeline? So think about what's going on right now in my previous videos. I don't know if you'd watched it, but think about my previous videos and these bunch of lights that are appearing all of a sudden all over. And a lot of people think it's possibly an advanced civilization. So what if there's something out there with more technology than we have, and with possibly some sort of AGI of their own? Could it be that they are already accessing our timeline and changing it somehow? Hypothetically speaking, if this is happening, the Mandela effect could be a possible evidence of such phenomena.
So as you can see, hold on, let me flip the light on here. You can see the cornucopia. You can see it's clearly the Fruit of the Loom with the cornucopia on it. There ain't nothing I'm playing tricks. You can see zoomed in, boom, boom, boom. Don't mind my cat. But these are the sweatpants my uncle left behind. I'm putting all this stuff in my safe. I will show you, hold on here.
This is part of it.
Spell. Miss Honey taught us how to spell a long word yesterday. We can spell difficulty.
This is new.
You couldn't spell difficulty if your life depended on it. She taught us with a poem. A poem? How sweet. What poem would that be? Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. F, F, I, Mrs. C, Mrs. U.
This was not here before. Now, if anyone remembers that part being in a movie before, definitely message me. But me and my kid have been watching this for years, and it was not there before, right?
Okay, so here's some emojis that I swear existed, but apparently do not, and never did. I swear there was a seahorse emoji, and it would have looked something like this. It should have been located like about here, or like in this part of the emoji. Next is literally this emoji. Some TikToker posted that they actually had it, and it should have been located around like this part. Next is a hiker emoji. It should have looked something like this, maybe slightly different, and it would have been located like somewhere over here. Okay, and finally is the water bottle emoji. I think it would have looked something like this, and it would have been located like over here.
So in 2011, something happened that a lot of people started noticing that there are loads of things that changed, that shifted somehow. And some people remember the Monopoly guy without the monocle, and other people remember the Monopoly guy with the monocle. This is supposed to be a false memory that people have. It's just some sort of phenomena. But there are some clues, some very interesting ones. For instance, Britney Spears dolls. Everyone remembers her at that specific video clip with the microphone. She never used it, but there are tons of dolls that were being sold with the microphone.
I did it again. I made you believe.
And the thinker, right? So a lot of people remember the thinker like this, other people remember it like this, but there are dozens of pictures of people posing in front of the thinker like this, and the statue behind them is like this. How crazy is it? Are you telling me that like 10, 20 people were posing in front of the statue like this, and the statue was like this? They didn't look at the statue. What? Doesn't make sense, right? So there's bits and pieces of evidence that the Mandela effect isn't just some false memory phenomena. It's something else. It's possibly a timeline shift.
Ziggy, When's the first time Richard Simmons died?
The date of death for Richard Simmons is February 20th, 2014. He was 57 years old when he died.
So could it be that this shift happened due to some sort of AGI from the future? Now this is just one scenario of what AGI could look like in the future if we do achieve time travel and possibly time shift or something like that. Now there are also positive scenarios with AI. This is one of them. Check this out.
There's always this concern people have about machines or AI or robots, economics textbook.
So basically what he's saying is that AI will make everything cheaper because we won't need people producing things. We won't need loads of the things that we already need. We're going to have robots doing everything for us. So the price of things will drop significantly. $1 will buy you a lot of things and we'll go back to another era of humanity. This is interesting. And at the same time, a lot of people do not believe in this. What do you think? Is it going to be like the Terminator or is it going to be like the Jetsons? And do you think that AGI will be able to access time and travel to parallel dimensions? And do you think the Mandela effect might actually be evidence of such a thing? What do you think will happen in the next 10 to 20 years? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel with notifications on, leave a like, and I'll see you guys next video.